Well, my knife block was just staring at me in the face saying, Stephanie, I need a makeover. So off to the craft room we go. So first things first, I wiped it down with some rubbing alcohol just to make sure it was nice and clean. And then I am going over it with Waverly chalk paint in the color ink. This only took one coat. I painted the entire block. You want to just allow that to completely dry before going on to the next step. Now, once that was completely dry, I then am going to be going over this with some school glue. So this is just some Dollar Tree school glue. It doesn't have to be anything special. And I did end up doing this by section because I didn't want to overwhelm myself. So I applied the glue down. I kind of dried it enough to where it's not completely dry. It's just kind of tacky. And then I went over it with Waverly chalk paint in the color plaster. You want to make sure you have a thick amount of chalk paint on your paintbrush and then just go over that glue. You want to try not to overstroke the glue because you just won't get that chippy finish look. So that's why I always have enough paint on my paintbrush so that way I only go over the glue maybe once or twice. And then once you allow that to completely dry, you literally start seeing the crackle start forming right before your eyes. It is so cool to watch. And the thicker amount of the glue you put on, the thicker the crackle is going to turn out. So for this front part, I put a really thick amount of glue and then again, allow that to kind of dry just a little bit until it is nice and tacky, and then went over it with the chalk paint. And look at that. This is all completely covered and it looks so awesome. Now you could stop right here, but of course I have to make this look super duper rustic. So I am using some Waverly Antique Wax with a small paintbrush. I'm just going all around the outer edge of the block, brushing some of the antique wax on, and then just kind of blending it out with my fingers. And really a little bit of the antique wax goes a very long way. So all I do is just put some antique wax on my brush and then just dab some of the excess off and then start going around the surface. And look at how awesome that looks. Next, I created these primitive star stencils off of my Cricut machine. I'm just using some regular permanent vinyl. I believe this vinyl actually came from Dollar Tree. So I just used that to create my stencils. I don't do anything special. Just apply a larger star on the front. Make sure that it is completely smoothed down. Go ahead and peel off that transfer tape, and then using more Waverly chalk paint in the color ink, using a cut up Dollar Tree sponge, I just put a small amount of the chalk paint on my sponge, dab off any excess, and then just with some light dabbing motions, just go all throughout the stencil. And then I just created some smaller stars for the side and just did the same thing. Just applied some of that ink chalk paint. Let those completely dry and then just added a little bit more of that antique wax around the edges of each of those stars. But this was such a fun transformation for me. I had so much fun redoing my knife block set. I thought this was so fun. I am going to allow the glue to completely dry for about 24 hours before I put the knives back into the set. But there you go, guys. I really hope this inspires you guys to make over stuff you already have at home. If this did, please be sure to sprinkle the love. Thank you so, so much, and I hope y'all have a good rest of your day. Thanks. Bye.